What's up, everybody? Chad's on his phone already, and welcome to another week of the Bearded Browns podcast. We got, he's an Android user. Look at that Android. You see that? Oh,
These
man.
are
Beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
Chad's an Android user. Obviously, there's lots to talk about today, gentlemen. A lot. All the rumors that are going around about today.
What rumors?
Yeah, we got some camp stuff to talk about. Chad is doing his nitty-gritty research right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a good one. As long as I don't lose power again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, hopefully you don't. He's the Adam Scheffler of the show. He's got to make sure his contacts are not contacting him.
Setting up all my notifications to go crazy if the word Aiyuk is in them.
Breaking news, and he could break it.
I got something for Chad. Ready?
Trending. Brandon Aiyuk.
Oh,
Speaking of which, I heard you guys had a tough weather day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Us too out here.
Yeah. What was it? 80, 72 degrees. Nice breeze coming from the north.
So here, my power has been out since 4 o'clock, and I come home, set up the generator to get the show going. As soon as we get everything set up, the power comes back on. All I had to do was plug it in and turn the generator on. Boom. Would have been all right. Nope, power came back on. So here we are.
Only in Cleveland are people complaining about the power coming back on.
Yeah.
Stop
Jeez,
it.
bro. Yeah.
The efficiency of our power company out here.
Well, we lost power Saturday or Sunday because a guy hit the telephone line with a taller load than expected. Obviously ripped down the power lines in good old LaGrange.
Good old LaGrange.
You hate when you get a bigger load than you expected.
I just watched the weather from my window. I didn't lose power. I did see the high winds and the heavy rain, and I was good to go.
Chad, it's too early for that. All right, so
diet over here.
Greenbrier is done. We've seen some good stuff throughout Greenbrier, gentlemen, right?
In the books.
It's in the books.
Yep.
It's in the books.
Anything you guys want to touch base with Greenbrier real quick?
Well, I will say, having Charlie on, was it 2 weeks ago or two shows ago now, talking about how, special he thought it was that they go to the Greenbrier and how unexpectedly that's like such a huge part of their camp and their camaraderie. I think I heard 3 different press conferences where somebody said the same thing. So if you watch the show, you heard it here first, but the message from Charlie is just apparently the team agrees. Like that's just a really great way to really start up camp, spend whatever it is, 9-10 days together.
I agree.
Yeah, I hope they do it. I hope they do it every year. I mean, it seems like they like it there. They get away from humanity a little bit and just come together as a team. Seems to help. I just wish they would come back healthy. That would help.
I'm okay with it. I like Greenbrier. I think it's a good idea. It gets them out there mentally stable and ready to come into camp, which we are now in Embria. And my Google Docs just took a crap. Awesome.
Boom.
Yeah, at least I still got power.
We'll keep up. Yeah, we'll keep up with it. We had you had mentioned everybody coming back healthy. We had some injury news in Greenbrier. Obviously, we talked about Brian Allen already going on IR with some calf injury. I had mentioned, we couldn't figure out what the actual injury was, and we were hoping he'd be back. Apparently not. The Browns reached an injury settlement with him, and he was released as an IR injury settlement. So he will not be back. Big chance for Luke Whippler to take a step forward in that backup role.
Yeah, he's an Ohio State guy. He should do well there.
Yeah.
He filled in at center, I think, for one game last year. I don't know if I remember seeing him at guard, but now's his shot to solidify that backup spot.
Yep.
And then,
what else do we have? Deontay Foreman went down with some sort of a neck injury. Apparently, I was told the tackle wasn't that brutal, but he just kind of got his head knocked, came up sitting down, holding his neck. They had to helicopter him dramatically to a trauma center in Virginia, and I guess it looked really probably scary having to see all that, getting him immobilized and out of there. It turns out it was all precautionary just because they were worried something could be going on with his neck, but he had all of his scans and they came back clear. And according to Kevin, he is back with the team already. So that is a scare for us, especially with Nick Chubb still, working his way back. That's kind of that power back that we're hoping to get some use out of early in the season. So
Absolutely.
the reports are he is good. And then lastly, yesterday, Zadarius Smith got carted off the field, but that is just a reportedly a bone bruise. The timetable for that I got asked about. For anybody that doesn't know, a bone bruise is literally a bruise on the bone. So it is incredibly painful when you hit your bone enough to break blood vessels and get that type of
Ouch.
yeah.
I
that
fell
type
out of
of
my
injury,
truck this
but
morning, and I think I got a bone bruise right here. It's pretty
you'll
bad.
know
It
it for a
hurts.
long time. Yeah, it's a really deep pain, but the timetable for healing for something like that's probably 2 to 4 weeks or so. But the timetable for participating is just pain and function related. So he might get some muscle immobility and for a little while, kind of as a protective measure. But as soon as he can get those muscles fired back up and the pain is tolerable, he'll be back out there without any risk of him worsening it. So he should be. I got some questions yesterday about whether he'd be missing any time. I wouldn't expect him to miss any actual game time, but he'll be pretty light for the next handful of practices and beyond.
All right. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, the stuff that everybody's wanting to hear.
Yeah, this is the good stuff.
The wide
The
receiver
good
room.
stuff.
Obviously,
Yes.
we have seen a lot in the last 2 days about the wide receiver room. Is there anything that you guys want to add before we jump into this? Because there is a lot. You guys hear
I
anything?
Ready to go.
Anybody friends
No.
with Mary Kay Cabot or anything by chance?
I wonder how David Bell is doing. That's why I often think of
Yes,
that.
prayers to David Bell.
David Bell.
David Bell.
R.I.P., man.
Fast but stone hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeudy was had a small injury as well and wouldn't disclose his injury, but he's back to limited play as well. So that's one wide receiver down. Not down, he's actually here, but that's one that we're going to touch base with and get that over with real quick. He's back.
Yeah, I liked his excuse. The reason I wrote that one in is because I just thought it was funny that I'm pretty sure Tony Grossi asked him, so tell us what you missed time for. And he's like, well, I'm back, so why would we talk about why I was out? And that was all he answered. He's like, let's talk about me being back. It was like, oh, man, I thought it was so funny. He is limited. They said he was doing, he started with just doing individual and team drills, but not the full 7-on-7s to begin with. But then I saw some film this week that he was doing that as well, 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, which is awesome.
That's good to hear. We were all nervous about the wide receivers not all being out there. And obviously there were precautionary measures taken throughout the week because we know as a Cleveland Browns fan what it's like to see somebody injured and not know the seriousness of it because the Browns are kind of behind a curtain every time somebody gets injured. Yeah, and they don't want to say a word until it's actually there and we know exactly what's going on. But
yeah, so we had Cooper basically sat out minicamp waiting to get paid. Judy's been out with a super secret injury that the Browns media is not allowed to know about. And then now I think Elijah Moore, I'm not sure if he's back, but he went out with a concussion.
He's back.
Literally
the day
when Jeudy came
whenever.
back.
Yeah.
So it's I guess, how are you guys feeling? Are you nervous at all that Deshaun is trying to get some consistency and get chemistry with these guys the best he can? And there's basically at no point where our top three wideouts are out there together.
Yeah, it is nerve-wracking, and I'm nervous myself because, you need him to have chemistry to have good, chemistry with those players. Especially Jeudy, because he hasn't played with Jeudy, right? So you want him to play with them, practice with them, throw the ball with
I
them.
don't think it's only that too. It's that, like, you throw Tyreek Hill on this team and it's like, am I that nervous about him, getting a lot of chemistry? Like, they'll work that out. But somebody like Jeudy is kind of like a borderline fringe wide receiver too. Elijah Moore's trying to kind of find his way. And then Cooper is less of an issue for me. That's the type of guy where I'm less worried about, because I think guys that good, you don't need to build as much chemistry because both the quarterback and the receiver know exactly where they'll be. But having all three of them out there, I think I will look forward to getting them all out at the same time.
And
If
another thing,
Cooper remains on the team.
I know it's kind of short in camp, but the videos we've been seeing is Jalen Darden had a couple of nice catches. Matt Landers, Cedric Tillman.
Which he does.
Matt Landers is always standing out, it seems.
Most positive story in camp, I feel like. Every single time, like, I check on, like, camp news, there's some either highlight of him making a great catch or some coach, player, or media member saying, wow, this guy's really big and really fast. And so, I don't know, I was poo-pooing it at the beginning in minicamp because that's like the underwear Olympics, and it's like nobody's stressed, everybody runs around, nobody's covering anybody. But now you start to make some plays when there's like 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, or you start to make plays when the actual good receivers are playing out there with you. And so it's, I don't know, caught my attention a little, at least worth like thinking about. And it made me wonder exactly what Angel said to open the segment. Where's David? I'm not seeing the David Bell highlights, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, they're not talking about David Bell, but often you're like, well, if they're not talking about you, either you're flying under the radar, or is that a good thing or a bad thing? But with David Bell, you kind of want to hear his name because, I mean, I felt like toward the end of the season and playoff game in particular, like I felt like he was getting something. And now
he flashed. He flashed with those touchdowns and some yards in the final games of the season. Yeah, for sure.
But now, like, with the additions of Jeudy and, like you said, Landers coming in out of nowhere, like, is he the guy that's going to get suffocated out of this lineup? And is somebody that they can somehow maybe trade for a late round pick later on during training camp?
I guess my worry too with a guy like, because I think we a lot of times try to push like a mediocre veteran out of camp for like a flashy other player. When it's like a rookie, I feel better about it. When it's a guy that's like 25 or 26 years old that seems like a flashy young guy, but actually he's been around. Landers has been, what is this? This is third year or something in the league. Darden was the one last year where everybody was telling me, like, this young kid's got it. And I was like, I feel like that guy's 25. So,
he hasn't
Landers
so far.
Yeah, Landers isn't that old, right? But he did like play somewhere last year.
I think Seattle, no?
I just can't remember. I thought it was an AFL team, or I can't remember. But he is he's still a pretty younger prospect.
This is his first season out of Kansas.
What was he doing in 2023? Was he was still in Kansas?
Yeah.
Last year? Okay.
So, he was in Seattle. Yeah, that's what I thought. Brown signed Matt Landers. He's a Seattle guy. Toledo, Arkansas, Razorbacks in 2022. In 2023 is with Seattle. Signed as an undrafted free agent.
Still, pretty young guy. So he fits more of the mold of like the young, flashy guy, not like a journeyman, flashy guy, and who's just doing well in early camps because he knows the drill and the rookies don't. But so this could be some legit talent. I guess my concern with David Bell is, he's been on the team a couple of years now. I think he did show some flash at the end of last season, which kind of gives you hope. But unless he's starting to look like a guy you're going to sign to a second contract, that all of a sudden makes it feel like you're not desperate to hold on to him if something else, another 22-year-old or 23-year-old flashes and you can sign him to a pretty cheap deal.
Yeah.
So that's where my concern would be. I don't think Thrash is in any danger. Tillman has too much upside. David Bell is that one guy that makes me pretty nervous about, like, if he doesn't give them a reason to sign him by the end of this camp, someone will snatch that spot right out from under him.
Yeah, and I think he might serve well going to a different team that needs him because I don't think we need him. To be
Somebody would
honest.
pick him
I
up.
mean,
I don't think it's a lost cause.
I'm a David Bell fan, so I'm not saying this out of hate. I think he might be a serviceable, maybe possession receiver.
Yeah.
But I think we have enough of those, and that's what
I think that's fair. I think that's really fair, actually. I just think, I guess my wonder would be like, just what you're saying, like, serviceable can be replaced by somebody flashy if if he doesn't do what we're all hoping he can do and step up a little bit. I think it's about that time.
He'll be a solid backup. He came out of Georgia, Toledo, and Arkansas in 2022. Had 47 catches for 901 yards. That was his best season in
which
22.
Is pretty decent for a college kid.
Yeah.
Right. So I think he could be a solid backup for sure if needed.
And I don't know that you look at Arkansas and say, like, passing powerhouse, so if you can put up some yards in those situations, that's always good. But yeah, he's interesting to watch. I would say at this point, I'm never like a big like hype guy, but he's probably worth paying attention to the rest of camp just because he has shown enough to like catch your attention. And then that is it for the wide receiver news this week.
That's it. We don't need any more wide receivers. We got enough.
We're done. See you guys next week. Thank you for
Okay.
joining the show. We'll see you guys next week. No. Obviously, there's a ton of rumors going around about the Brandon Aiyuk deal. I listen to the radio all day long, and I've been on Twitter all day long, X, whatever, Facebook, and it's just piling up, man, like so much. The Steelers are in, the Steelers are out, Steelers are back in.
It's an emotional roller coaster. It's like
For the
Browns
record,
might get him.
this isn't that annoying, but the most annoying part of this whole thing is what you just said. The Steelers are in, and you're like, I do not want the Steelers to get Brandon Aiyuk. And then the Steelers are out, and you take a little sigh, like, okay, for some reason that wasn't going to work. And then it's like, Steelers are back in. God, I don't even care, like, if we get him as much as I care that they don't get him, because that makes their receiver core immediately so much better and their whole offense. So
It's just the drama unfolding. That's all that is.
I hate it.
But we deal with it.
Yeah. So what are you guys thinking? So I posted in the chat a poll that was run by ESPN Cleveland, and it could have changed by now. It was pretty early on. It had almost 1,000 votes though, and at that time, it asked, who would you rather have, Amari Cooper or Brandon Aiyuk? 65% of the poll went to Amari Cooper. I was pretty surprised by. So where do you guys land on it?
Go ahead, Angel.
I'm probably part of the 65% actually.
It's a much bigger majority than I.
Yeah, and the reason for it is, I can only speak for myself, obviously. Comfortability. I know who Cooper is.
You're the man of the people. You're the man of the people. You need to speak for Cleveland.
So I know what Cooper is. I know what he brings. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. I know you'll probably get him for 1 year and then let him go, and then you get a third round pick because you let him go. You don't trade him. So all that, there's pluses to it. Also, too, and what makes me nervous about Brandon is this: how is he going to change? Is he going to impact the culture and the locker room? Okay, if you get rid of Cooper, how is that going to impact the chemistry in the wide receiver room? He is a veteran who I think can help Jeudy. If you get rid of Cooper, how is Brandon going to help Jeudy grow if there's still growth in Jeudy? So there's a lot of, if you get rid of Cooper, you're not just getting rid of a veteran wide receiver. You're getting rid of somebody who helped establish culture. Also, too, Cooper put up crazy numbers last year, being the number one guy consistently. You can sit there and you can say, well, look what Brandon Aiyuk did. And then you can say, yes, but you can at times say he was probably the second, third, maybe even fourth option in some games. So that's what scares me. If he comes here and is the number one option and teams double him, is he going to put that up? And also, too, Cooper put up crazy numbers with an excess.
And Angel ended that.
We have enough of Angel's take on Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I had nothing to do with that. He's back. He's back already. I don't know what happened.
I didn't know if you knew this, but Mike
Yeah.
is real passionate about Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah,
but
he's
he
like,
cut you.
he's like, this dude's making sense. Get out of here.
Ain't gonna
No,
happen. Not today,
immediately.
Angel.
So-
See ya. No.
So those fans that say Brandon or bust, I wouldn't say bust because Cooper brings a lot more than just statistics and touchdowns and if we've come a long way and we preach culture on this podcast more than anything, and I think if you get rid of Cooper, you get rid of part of a culture that can be interrupted by what I think seems to be a little selfishness in Brandon right
Can I ask you how you felt about the culture changing when we let Jarvis Landry go?
He was downhill, man. I didn't care about that.
But what helped the culture when we
No.
let that culture leader leave? I thought was bringing in a even more talented culture like receiver in Amari Cooper. My wonder would be, do you think that could happen with Aiyuk, who's going into his prime now, where, okay, Amari Cooper's a big part of the culture and very, very productive, but is there a chance that bringing in Brandon Aiyuk could be like, instead of thinking of it as losing culture, could you think of it as maintaining a longer culture? Because now you bring in a guy that you can have for 4 or 5 years instead of just this year, who's just as talented. That's what I would wonder is like, we are losing something with Amari. We're losing an incredible amount of production and we're losing some leadership. Although I'm a one of the few naysayers to like the Cooper culture, in that, he just sat out of minicamp to make sure he made his money. So I'm not saying that makes him a bad person or a bad teammate. I would think most of them are backing him on that. But I do think there's this like flawless, like he's an all football guy, no flash. He never makes a stink, but he's also been, kicked off of 2 teams in the past. One who used the 4th pick of the draft on him, and the Cowboys couldn't wait to get rid of him. They took nothing from us to get rid of him. So like, I don't know. I mean, I agree. Like, he's great. I love him. He's super productive. But I do think there's like an aura around Cooper in Cleveland because we've only seen him have his like best 2 years, where it's like that they think that that's all he is. And I'm worried like about holding the bag if he has a good year and then just leaves,
My outlook on it is honestly, either way, I don't care. We got another good year at least of Amari Cooper. Okay, the guy can come out here and show up this year at 30 years old, and we have a number 1 draft pick next year. So if we need to find another good receiver, possibly that could play next year, we could do that in a draft. I would like Brandon Aiyuk. I would like Brandon Aiyuk because he is younger. He's 4 years younger. He was drafted 5 years. Amari Cooper was drafted 5 years prior to him, and Brandon Ayuk's stats are stacking up really damn close to Amari Cooper's, and they're only going to get better. He's still young.
Yeah,
He's still got plenty of
surpassed
potential.
him last year.
Yeah.
On the graphic you sent over, it looked like, for instance, Amari Cooper had 1,250 yards last year, which I've seen a ton of Browns fans ranting about. Like, how do you get rid of a guy who had 1,250 yards? Well, it's not easy to do unless you're bringing in a guy who had 1,350 yards, and a guy that had 5 touchdowns in Cooper. Well, Aiyuk had 7 touchdowns. Cooper actually got more targets than Aiyuk, and Aiyuk still had more yards per reception, more total yards. They both had the same amount of 20-plus yards plays, which is pretty fantastic at 42. But I guess kind of the point was like, I guess that's the only way I would consider getting rid of a player that good, is if you can bring somebody in this talented. My biggest pause is actually you have to pay another player on a second contract. So the Browns have brought in Jeudy, paid him
quarterback.
Yeah, they brought in Elijah Moore for super money.
Yeah, you'll have 3 players in the offense that could total up to close to 100 million.
Yeah, you want to win the Super Bowl, you have to have some young, talented, free players. Like, they're paying everybody on the team that's good, except for like JOK, who's up for a second contract next year also. So you don't want every good player on your team to be on their second or third contract getting big money. You need some young talent. That would be my biggest pause. Like, not, we give up a draft pick. I don't think it'd be a first if we have good assets to send with it.
I don't think it's going to be a first either.
But I do agree with Mike. Like, you can win if you get him. You can win if you don't. Like, that's the good news, is like the Browns are actually in a position where if this doesn't go through, which I felt pretty similar about. I felt similar. I'd say this is even more even, but I felt pretty similar about Baker when they tried to get Watson. And I thought at the time, when we didn't know what we know now, like, that seemed like a lock. Like, Watson is just way more talented in 2021 or whenever this was all happening, 2022, than Baker probably ever will be. But you still felt like, well, if they shoot their shot at Watson and he's like, no way, I'm going to Atlanta or wherever. Like, well, you got Baker Mayfield. You just keep rolling and you hope for the best, and you hope he plays really well after he recovers. I'd feel the same way about Cooper, but even more so because we know he'll play well this year. I think all of us believe even at age 30, he's going to be pretty good this year, right?
I would agree.
Wait, we're still talking about the Cleveland Balloons, right?
Yeah, the Cleveland Balloons. By the way, if you ever do AI, watch the details, man. They do creepy little things that they hope you don't notice.
And it's funny to see though when you that's where you have to pay attention, because if you do share it, you're like, who in the heck are the balloons? You're like, I drew that. I drew it. James said that first he said he would give up Conklin and a first round pick, which, James, that's crazy. That's too much.
That's too much.
I wouldn't give up a first round pick for
If I'm giving up a first round pick, that's all I'm probably giving up.
I'm going to be bringing up any players. I agree. He said that I'm not getting rid of Coop, but you're going to have to, James, if you want Aiyuk, because the money. You can't pay.
And I've seen that a lot. And if they find another way to do this, and I put up a poll of a bunch of options, if they find another way to do it, sure. But if the 49ers are like, the only way to get this done is if we're going for a Super Bowl this year, I know why the Browns think 1 year of Cooper might not be enough, but I could see why the 49ers would say 1 year of Cooper is exactly what we'd need.
He would be good, perfect
to win the
fit
Super Bowl.
there too. He would be a perfect fit there, man.
Do you guys want to know
it's
fun
a good
fact?
I mean, it's a good comment. It gives you an idea that, like, people are passionate about Cooper in that comment, and also, like, they are obviously passionate about Aiyuk if you're willing to give up a starting level player and a first round pick. So, like, that's what I mean. Like, this is a great situation to be in. Do we get breaking news? I'm just kidding.
No, I thought someone was telling.
You know what, dude?
I thought somebody was saying something back there.
Watch this. I'm going to play it now. Chad's a punk for doing that. Boom.
Yeah, that's what should be going on, but Chad played us.
I did play all
your
that.
facial expression looked so real, dude. I couldn't even. Man, don't ever do that again.
Yeah, he got me.
Some people don't know this. I'm actually a former actor and member of the Screen Actors Guild. So that's why I
put that on his list of things.
Yep.
Brandon Andrews says moves will put us in cap hell. Gonna have to make tough cuts the next few seasons.
I'm not going to deny that Andrew Berry's next year will be tough. There's going to be.
We say that every year with him, right? And he just,
you know what,
sprinkles some dust.
It matches what I had said earlier, that it's because he doesn't draft young talent, so it's always he's getting tighter and tighter. But honestly, like, that's his job. Figure it out.
And I'm not saying he did. He's done a pretty damn good job. So I'm not complaining.
And I will say, just the fact that they're in this whole thing right now,
encouraging.
That's pretty encouraging to me.
Well, because remember 2 weeks ago it was a giant rumor, and everybody's like, Brandon Aiyuk to the Browns. No, now it's
the Browns. Who wants to go there?
It's become a reality. And the rumor.
I commented on something somebody posted the other day, and I was like, "Have you seen something Brandon Aiyuk to the Browns?" Because I don't know where this is coming from, and he never responded. But I was like, I want to know who started that up.
Do you think there's a possibility that this could become like a Deshaun Watson thing, where the money at the end is his final decision?
Oh, I think it's good. I think he wants the money. I mean, was San Francisco offered him what, 26 mil, and he still didn't want it? And that's the thing that scares me. He's like, you don't want to do 24, 26 mil. You want more? And like, so for me, it's like,
Oh, you
he's
can take
obviously
Elijah
in it for
Moore.
the money.
Oh, you're saying more money. I got you.
Yeah, more money. Yeah, you want
Oh.
more
I think
money than that.
I'm thinking he's closer to like 28 to 30 would be my guess of what he's trying to get.
Yeah, I would agree.
What is he ranked? I think 13th best wide receiver in the league right now.
On
Yeah,
what?
I saw 13 to 15.
I can tell you what he was ranked last year on PFF.
Yeah, what was that? Because I've seen it earlier, and I've
2.
He was ranked number 2.
Yeah, I really don't like that
PFF.
score. I don't like PFF.
He had a 91.5 total score, which put him number 2 behind Tyreek Hill and just above Nico Collins, who had a 91.4, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 91.2, and Justin Jefferson, who had a 91.1. CeeDee Lamb had a 90.9. So I would just say if this is true and he's in a tier with guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb, then we're probably undervaluing him.
You know what? You're right. You're right. I was thinking Amari Cooper was like 13th. That's right.
Oh, it was Cooper 13th. You guys want to hear a hot take from Brandon Andrews? And it's a good one. He said, gonna have to pay a not top 10 wide receiver, top 5 wide receiver money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends. When he says he's not a top 10 wide receiver, like, I guess I'm wondering, like, who his top 10 wide receivers are. And I would preface
Brandon,
this by saying,
drop your top 10 in the chat, and I can read it.
But don't just drop your top 10. Drop your top 10 over the next 4 or 5 years, because that's what you're trying to get him for. So don't say Mike Evans, because Mike Evans is right towards the end. Like, give me guys who you think over the next 5 years, right now and going forward, are ahead of him. I'm just curious. And I'm not even saying you're wrong. I don't know.
Did you hear that, Brandon? Drop those top 10 right now. We could talk about this all day. I don't want to waste a whole show on just Brandon Aiyuk, and it's a big topic right now. It is, but there's so much more to talk about. The biggest thing is no matter what, at the end of the day, we're still going to have a solid number 1 receiver on the Cleveland Browns. That's the way I look at it. If we could trade an alignment and a higher draft or a low draft pick, I'm cool with that. Maybe.
One last thing, you're going to give Jefferson $35 million a year. So you're saying Brandon Aiyuk is close to being Justin Jefferson?
So Justin Jefferson's, he was hurt last year. That makes it a really weird year to talk about it. I was gonna say he blew Justin Jefferson away in yards, but
yeah.
I wonder what Justin Jefferson's best year was though, yardage wise. Let me see if I can look real quick.
Now, like for me, my argument is like Justin Jefferson's all they have in Minnesota, so he's putting up yards basically with every single coverage he's facing. He's doing it. Like Aiyuk is doing it with that 2 great running backs, a good tight end, and a great play caller in Kyle.
Yeah, but on the reverse side of that, you can say he's not getting all the targets. So how good could he be if he got Amari Cooper's number of targets or Justin Jefferson?
Will he be able to do that with the quarterback that was playing?
I don't know.
That we had. See, I love this.
So
we can do this all day.
Another thing, how hard do you think it'd be for him to transfer out of the West Coast offense play style?
Yeah, that's another argument there. Yeah.
No problem.
Anyway,
no sweat.
Kyle's offense is hard, so I think Kevin might be a little easier.
Kevin's offense would be good for him. We don't know exactly what Dorsey's will look like. So I'm looking at just last year's numbers. Brandon Aiyuk was 7th in total receiving yards last year, and I was interested in yards per reception. I always think yards per reception is a pretty big deal.
YPC.
Yeah, to me, I always think that because that's the one thing that covers, like, well, are you sharing more targets with somebody, or like, what are you doing with the ball? So I'd have to see that. But Justin Jefferson has had 1,800 yard season, 1,600 and an 1,800 yard season. That's like, that's like Tyreek Hill. That's a different level.
Yeah, he's good. I do
Yeah,
like.
that's not.
For the record, I do like Brandon. If he's on the team, I'm not going to cry about it. I just like to.
Yeah, he's great. I'm worried
Yeah.
about how much we pay him and what we do in the future. But yeah, he's awesome. Did you guys see before we move on from Ayuk, since we should probably talk about some other things since this might not even happen, but I had posted a poll about what you would trade for him, and I put, I'm guessing there's got to be some pick in there. So I mid-round picks, I thought third or fourth. High picks are first and seconds. I don't think there's a first going in this with any player, so probably like a second. And so it would be something like Teller and a third or fourth round pick, Cooper and a third or fourth round pick, Elijah Moore and a second rounder, and Newsome and a second rounder. Do you guys have a preference in that? Because there's one category that just led the poll by a lot.
Probably the offensive lineman and the pick is probably what they. No, it didn't. Wow, that would have been my guess.
It was not. And actually, the reason I put Teller on there is for those who haven't looked at I'm out west, so I get a little more exposure to the 49ers. For those who haven't looked at their roster or haven't watched a lot of 49ers football, like they could really use a right guard. Like their offense is stacked, and the one position that they don't have a superstar on is probably right guard. And they run a very complicated run scheme that we know Teller can do because he's done it in Cleveland. So that's why he was in there. But the number one with over 50% of the votes was a second round pick in Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
I'm going to touch base with this comment really quick. James said, I'm definitely against getting rid of Teller. F no. He was actually the lowest at 13.4% of the votes. So I don't think
I just think it's
really
a little weird because we just drafted a right guard who everybody thinks is like a very capable replacement for Wyatt
That's
Teller.
why I thought Wyatt Teller.
I think it's weird that we would desperately hold on to a right guard when you have the chance to get. That means we still get to keep Cooper, and our receiving core would be.
That's why
Cooper
I said a right guard because logically it makes sense.
Sure. I'm like, are you kidding me? You got great backup guards, and then the ability to like pick for the future. Like they're like, oh, we could just draft a receiver in the first round. Or you could draft a guard in like the second or third if you need to replace Teller. Like to me, I love Wyatt Teller, but wow, Browns fans catch a guy they like, and it's just like,
dude, Brandon came in. Brandon came in and said,
Brandon gave me his top 10.
JJ, Chase, Hill, Amon-Ra, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, Kupp, DK Metcalf.
That's a good top 10, man. That's. I don't know about the aging.
Brandon, you can Google that in under 10 seconds, bro. I appreciate it.
DJ Metcalf. So most of those are really good players. And again, so the top 10, at least on PFF, I don't know everything, but on PFF was Tyreek Hill, Brandon Aiyuk, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase. So you're getting those names in there. Those are good. I do not agree with Metcalf. I do not think Metcalf is on the level of those guys.
Metcalf would be the one I would question on that list too. Yeah.
He's ranked 19 at PFF, and his yardage last year was not good enough for me. I know his overall skill is pretty good, but I would take Aiyuk over him in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But good list, though, Brandon. 9 out of 10 ain't bad.
Pretty fair.
Oh man, that was good.
But
was
yeah,
good,
give me the answer to the poll because I kind of baffled why people didn't want to get rid of a right guard when they just drafted.
Yeah, so it was Elijah Moore and a second round pick or a high pick went 51%, and then Cooper, people were willing to give up Cooper and a middle round pick for 20%. Newsome and a high pick, presumably a second, 15%. And then last was Teller and a mid-round pick.
Weird,
for
man.
Me, if you have the option to get rid of, I also agree Elijah Moore. But if I could keep my second-round pick or first-round pick, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And because I think you can replace Teller with a first or second-round pick. So I would say get rid of Teller and a mid-round pick. And if I ever run into Wyatt Teller, he's one of my favorite players. I love it. I love the pancakes. It's been awesome here. I just don't think that's a position the Niners really need, and I think that's a position we could fill. And I don't think we would lose one extra game this season because we don't have him, because we have 2 or 3 really good backups at guard.
Right. We did run another poll as well, really quick. Where do you want to see Brandon Aiyuk go? And I know we're a Browns podcast, so obviously the Browns are going to be favored in this poll. But 44% said Browns, 34% said New England Patriots, and 22% said Pittsburgh. I don't want to see Aiyuk in the AFC North unless he's on the Browns. That is my final decision on that.
Yeah, my choices are Browns first. I'd like to see him Browns. Second, just stay in San Francisco and stay in the NFC. Just don't bother us if you can't come here. And then New England, because I don't think they're going to be able to do that much with him anyway. So
yeah, they got a couple rookies, and who's their quarterback?
May.
The guy that was here,
Drake May.
Yeah, Drake May.
He might be good, but he's a rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie,
and that team is in shambles right now.
Yeah. They actually made good moves, but I don't think they're going to be good this year. I would say go to Washington. Team up with the quarterback you want to go with, Daniel.
We play Washington.
Like Washington was never in on the trade, at least from the reports. Like I know he
wants to go.
Talks to Jaden Daniels a lot. I've seen them say that was the original meme where he's like, they don't want me here. Like, he's like, come play here. But, rookie quarterback who hasn't done anything doesn't have the kind of pool to get in there. And Ayuk's the kind of move that, in my opinion, you either make because you have no receiver that you can get your rookie quarterback throwing to like get him comfortable. And that's not the case in Washington. Or you're ready to like make this leap, and in the next 4 years you're trying to go to the Super Bowl, so you're willing to pay the cash. That just maybe isn't Washington.
I agree.
It's New England. It might be New England.
New England,
might be saying like we invested in Drake May right now. That money for you is worth just making sure May is safe.
Yeah, that would be a good spot for him.
If we're playing Miles Garrett,
but again, Cleveland, it feels nice. I've heard people say like, what will Amari Cooper do if this trade doesn't go through? Easy. The Browns will come out and say, hey, we did have a trade in place. We did not have Amari Cooper on the table.
We were going to offer Wyatt Teller instead.
We were going to offer something else. Like we were inquiring. We're trying to always get better, blah, 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 blah. But like, they're not going to make it a thing. And Amari already knows where he stands. They re-signed him and didn't add any more years to his deal. He probably is expecting in this business he's going to play 1 year here. He's going to ball out and look like he hasn't lost a step and try to get paid again. It's not going to affect. He's not going to be a bum this year and risk losing
his career,
all this future money because he's salty dog about the Browns waving him around.
He was on the field today in pads.
Yep.
I'm cool with that. Let's move on.
I mean, really, like these fans make it seem like these players are so like. I think like we got drilled in with Baker where he's like, you want to trade me? I hate you. Get me out of here. But like players should be looking at it as a compliment. Like they're not going to offer you in a trade if you're not a valuable commodity that another team would want. They might just be the trade bait because, and they might have been told like if you're going to get Brandon Aiyuk, we need like a legit receiver. Well, Jeudy still has his questions. Elijah Moore is just untapped potential. Cooper is the guy who can go to a team that's got Super Bowl aspirations and make a difference in year one. We've seen it here. He did it here.
Wide receiver one. That's what we call him.
And he is one. Like I say, he's like he's in the top half for PFF. He's number 10 in total yards from last year, and he missed time. Like he's a number one for anybody out there who still somehow has a question. He's been inconsistent as a career, but in Cleveland, he's been elite.
Elite.
Cool. Let's move on, guys. We got about 15 minutes left. Hall of Fame game. Everybody watched it. Don't tell me you didn't.
I didn't.
I only watched it just to see the kickoff. That's the only reason.
I didn't watch any of it. I had to watch highlights later.
You didn't watch the kickoff at all?
I heard Case Keenum and David Mills really lit it up.
Yeah.
Two guys I hope we never see this season.
Supposedly it was a good game. There was a good comeback from the Bears, from what I heard.
They canceled it in like the third quarter. They were like, this isn't even real football. It's raining everybody in. But we did see some kickoffs.
That was what I wanted to see most. That was it.
James said the cook-up looked dumb.
I heard that a lot.
That's a
No,
hot
I heard
take.
that a lot. I heard that a lot. Somebody did a kickoff like special. I forget on like YouTube the next day, and they're like, "Oh, it was McAfee." He's like, "I'm just gonna like do a reel of like all the kickoffs and let's take a look at it and see what we think." And a bunch of people were like, "It looks so dumb to me that like everybody's just standing there till the guy makes the catch." I don't think that. Like it looks awkward because we're not used to it, but I see how it fits into the game. I just don't know if it told me anything because you're going to have more talented people out there in the real season doing it, and after people get to see this, they're going to start thinking how they can change it. But it looked like everyone got taken to like between the 20 and 30 yard line, and then like they just ran into a wall essentially. So I do see how you could maybe break one, and it could really like change a game, but also, and the fast running hits aren't going to be there. So maybe there is still like some protection from concussion, but guys are going to take awkward tackles because they basically run into a pile and everybody just pulls them down. So hopefully nobody gets injured and it works out. But I don't know. Mike, did you see anything from it that like intrigued you? I will say I understood it immediately watching it like 3 or 4 times. You're like, oh, that's what happens. So you kick, everybody stands, the returning team is watching the returner, and as soon as he catches it, they turn and look for their guy. And so like it's weird, but like I get it now. And everybody, you could see the kicker tried to constantly kick it to like about the 5, so it had a chance to roll in the end zone, but like so that the returner couldn't get a running start, and so you could try to pin them back to like the 20 or so.
I think the most confusing part about it all is if the ball lands in the zone, the safe zone, it's still confusing everybody. What if it rolls out in the end zone?
Then it's a touchback.
Right. So they got to catch it. And I think this gives them a better.
It's weird to think of too, because there's like 2 touchbacks. There's the landing zone touchback, which is good for the kicking team. That puts them on like the 20. And then there's the
touchback is 30.
Touchback, which puts them at the 30. And that's the bad touchback you want to avoid. So they're not going to kick it to the like 1 yard line because it's too risky. It could go in the end zone. They're going to kick it to like the 5 and hope it either the guy doesn't return it and it bounces in, or he does catch it and he doesn't get very far. But if anybody still has questions, just watch it, and it makes so much more sense than when they described it. And then we described it.
Yeah.
Anyone describing it, it's very hard. But like when you see it, you're like, oh, I kind of get it.
I think it's going to be kind of cool once we get the hang of everything, because there's going to be more breakouts and runs.
They're definitely gonna change things up when the season starts. They're not showing their whole cards each team, but yeah, it should be interesting.
And I think Angel's still on his hill from when Charlie Hewlett a couple weeks ago said that there could be a cornerback kicking.
Safety to kick.
I will say McAfee did get approached with that question, and he said that sounds like it's being said by somebody who doesn't kick and doesn't realize how hard it is to
He's
put
saying
the
it from a
ball
kicker.
on the 5 yard line. That's what he's saying. He's saying like people just don't realize like you can do that, and like someday they're gonna find like some like soccer player or like something who like has a background in kicking, who's playing like we talked about, who's playing safety or whatever it might be. Or just a kicker, like that's your kicker, and he doesn't play safety or another position. He's a kicker, but just somebody who happens to know how to tackle. But he did say, like, you watch the first person they put in there accidentally whiff one, and it goes like doesn't make it to the landing zone, or it goes out of bounds, and the team gets it on the 40 yard line. And they're like,
we're done.
Or he's like, watch a safety kick and pull his quad and can't play the rest of the game. Somebody scores a touchdown over his backup, and they're like, those things will make a coach go, never again.
Right.
But I don't think that counts it out from happening once or twice before that happens. We'll see.
We're going to see some trick plays.
In Charlie, we trust.
Yeah. The Browns ranked 7 out of the 10 power rankings. I'm willing to accept that because I think we do have some things to show up this year. We have plenty to show this year.
I think I saved every one of these on Instagram. Like every time I saw the Browns rankings, they were always in the top 10, never right at the top, but like 7, 9. I saw 9 a couple times. I saw 10. Like, I'm just not used to seeing the Browns coming into a season that high. Like in the top 10 preseason rankings, even
Yeah.
I'm not even sure after 2020 they had that kind of like.
I think we're just
positioning.
outside of 10. Angel, what would you rank the Browns coming into this year?
Yeah, I would say between 8 and 10. 8 and 10. That's hard to say because I'm a Browns fan. I want to go higher, but I think Kevin has to win a playoff game or two this year. You also have questions. You have questions: is Watson going to stay healthy and all this other stuff? But I think 8 and 10 is a good spot, and maybe it's because I'm like, wow, we're actually getting some respect. That makes me a little happier. But
I've seen our offense ranked anywhere in like the top 15, and our defense typically ranked in the top
5.
Yeah. Not always like is 1 like we think, which is probably realistic given the schedule we have and the regression. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, though, is this part is for Angel specifically. Every time I've seen a ranking of Deshaun Watson, specifically as quarterback, he's been ranked between 19th and 25th. I'm not sure any other team that's consistently ranked in the top 10 doesn't have a quarterback who's ranked much higher than
19. Yeah, that's weird.
Which makes me wonder if people are sort of coming around on the idea of like the Browns will be pretty good on both offense and defense, but I don't want to be the one to say that Deshaun Watson might even be average. So I'm just going to say the Browns will be good and Deshaun Watson will be crap. Is what?
Yeah, so it's a
because if they really believe that, the Browns would not be ranked 7th anywhere.
Yeah, because
no
your
team
quarterback.
No team with the 25th quarterback is 7th.
So it doesn't make sense. You're
Angel, read James' comments.
According to Miz, we're going to go 17-0. Yeah. Well, you don't want to go 17-0. You want to go beyond 17-0 because you want to win a Super Bowl. But yeah, that's confusing. You're kind of doing a double. Is it a double negative, or you're being contradicting?
These are all from like the same sources.
Yeah,
like
it's weird
ESPN, NFL, CBS.
I would say Watson at 19 is low. I'm not saying Watson's gonna be. I'm not going to give him top 10 right now because he has a lot to prove. But
a high. 19 is the high. 25 was the low.
Yeah, I would put him at maybe 15.
We got 32 for your main quarterbacks, and then you got.
Yeah, I would put him in the middle right now, like right in the middle. Which 19 is kind of in the middle, but 15 I would feel better. But yeah, that is weird. I think they're like, well, we're gonna not say Watson sucks just in case he blows us out of the water, and we can say, see, we told you he was 19.
Well, why we could all say his arm is looking good at camp. We watched a couple of videos this week through camp at Greenbrier. I seen him throw a pick 6 to MJ Emerson today, and that's good for us because that's good and bad. Obviously, I mean, you don't want to see the guy throwing picks. Obviously, they're at camp, so they're going to be a little more, just free, just throwing and having fun, getting drills down and all that. It's just, how do you take that? You see MJ Emerson pick the ball off, which is great on a defensive end, but when you see your quarterback throw a pick 6, it's not good on the offensive end.
Yeah, but I guess the devil's advocate would be like, it's training camp and you really want to test your boundaries, especially Deshaun coming back from the injury and has to know like what can his arm do in a game. So maybe you do take some shots and just see like, can I sneak this past a guy and then learn like, oh, I can't. I would have to not make that throw in a game. So I'd rather he made none, and I haven't seen any super bad ones. Like we watched, I'm trying to remember who I was watching. There was some training camp clips, and there was like 2 or 3 interceptions that were so bad, and I was like, oh man, awesome, this guy stinks, And so, but MJ Emerson's pretty talented in coverage. But I'll say make those mistakes now. I'd rather they didn't happen. But if they do happen, like learn your arm as you recover, figure out what you can and can't do, and let's see how that progresses.
You know what?
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I do like? I see all these camps, teammates fighting. And I know it's common banter on the field, especially in camp, because everybody's high stress. You got people fighting for jobs. Even the Cleveland Browns got in a little scuffle today.
Did they?
Yeah, well, it was nothing. There was no punches thrown like there were in Pittsburgh or what was it? The Lions, I think they had a bad one.
Lions versus Giants. Yeah,
I think we fought the Bills and the Seahawks a few years ago.
Oh yeah, I love those. It's kind of good to see that because you know things are happening. Everybody's
maybe
on
Bills.
their...
I misspoke. I think it was Bills and the Eagles.
No, it was Washington and there was another big scruff. I forget who it was. It was a couple of years ago, but there was a big fight. No helmets on, nothing. Just everybody beating the crap out of each other.
The Giants and
that's
Lion
right.
guy, they had the protective helmets on, and they're hitting each other with the protective helmets. Like, dude, you're not doing anything, man. And you're gonna hurt your hand. You're gonna be out.
You gotta love those joint camps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting spirited, and it's going to get more so because, like, it's time for getting ready for preseason. Guys are trying to earn their spot on the depth chart, and, like, when full pads get on and guys start to get tired and frustrated, you'll probably see a little more of that. But it's that time of year, getting ready for preseason.
Speaking of high amplitude on the field, Mike Vrabel, that guy is on that field running his ass off with these guys, really getting into it. I love seeing that. That's the kind of coach I kind of wanted, like a Bill Cowher-esque, like screaming at people, veins popping out of the side of your neck. Looks like you're about to have an aneurysm, like
spit coming out.
Yes. He doesn't care, man. And I like how he's individually working with players as well, because obviously he's working a lot with Jim Schwartz on the defensive end because he's, I believe, more of a defensive coach.
He is, but I think that's the opposite. I think he said in his interview that because of that, like, he has plenty of interaction with Schwartz, but Coach Stefanski wants him working a lot with the offensive guys to like, well, Schwartz is working on the defense, talking with the offensive guys about how he would shut down the things they're trying to implement so that they have a good view from him of like, okay, this is a passing scheme you're trying to do. Here's how I would try to set something up to stop you. And so he really is going all over the map. Offense, defense, special teams. It's pretty impressive.
Specialist.
Love that, man. Yeah, I love hearing that stuff, man. Love it.
ESPN Cleveland did a poll. No, not ESPN Cleveland. The Fan did a poll on like who was the most popular Brown at out of Greenbrier, and Vrabel was like the number one vote above Myles Garrett, Chubb, Watson, Cooper.
Oh man, Browns fans.
Like, the only Browns fans and all in on a guy who's almost inevitably gone next year.
Exactly, and right on cue, James says, "I want him as our coach, man." Like, you got a two-time coach of the year right there in your backyard, and you want? Come on!
I'm not gonna kill James.
Yes. Thank you, Angel.
I am blown away that Vrabel doesn't have a coaching job. I wanted him a while back, and I really like him. But it's much like, if you have Nick Chubb, sure, you might like Bijan Robinson, but like you don't fall in love with Bijan Robinson because you already have Nick Chubb, right?
Exactly.
So I love Stefanski. I love everything he can do. I love everything Vrabel is adding. But I knew with some fans they were going to say, fire Stefanski, get Vrabel in here.
Yep.
Yes. And
just not the case. But I do love that Vrabel's so passionate about Cleveland. I love the connection to the organization. It's awesome. This is such an awesome, rare thing to be able to pull off, and they're pulling it off, man. He's like a personal coach to David Njoku. He's working special teams, helping them try to figure out like this kickoff and coverages. Like I said, he's working with Tommy Reese. He's doing like defensive schemes against their offense. He's running dumb wind sprints against Jameis Winston, who should always beat him, by the way. He is not like a light, fast man.
All right.
Like
so
45 or something.
Would you guys mind taking a really quick break? We got some stadium talk coming up. We haven't taken a break in like a month.
1 month.
Throw a commercial on.
No commercial. I'm just going to run the break ad thing real quick. Not even ad. Yeah, if you guys want, excuse me, Angel, go ahead and shout out the sponsors. We got CV Excavating and Douglas White Allstate Insurance.
Yep, I shout them out in the chat. But yeah, give them a shout out, give them a follow if you need some work done around the house. Give C&B a call, and if you need, I know for sure, at least I can speak for Cuyahoga County. My friend over there doesn't. You live in Cuyahoga? No, you're out of Cuyahoga.
I'm in Lorain.
Yes, the property taxes are going up. So
Not mine.
if you feel like your property tax, home insurance has gone up a little bit, give Doug a call. He may hook you up and help you out. And also too, let him know that you heard it from us. By that, when it doesn't do nothing, but at least he knows that you heard it from us, and that his sponsorship means something.
No, you'll get the bearded VIP treatment.
Yeah.
Actually, call him and use code bearded, and
Like bearded,
and you'll get top-notch VIP service.
People like
Guaranteed.
bearded. Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, sure.
But yeah, we're gonna take a really quick break. We got a lot of stadium talk to obviously get back to, because that's another rumor that is going around the mustache. I mean,
We can blow through this in 2 seconds.
No,
Two.
yeah, right. There's so much
Maybe
stuff here to
5.
read in the notes. But yeah, we'll be
No, we're not
right.
going to read the whole note.
No, we're reading the whole note.
Details.
We're reading it all.
Word to word,
we'll be
word for
right
word.
back.
We don't have to read the
All right, we are back.
Are we back in this or
Back.
what?
Yes, we are ready to talk some stadium talk. Whole lot going on there. Another rumor that is spreaded today on behalf of. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say official news press. This is not a rumor. This is happening.
Yeah, this is facts.
Well, supposedly the Neo Trans blog has pushed out a couple news stories this year that have actually happened to be true. So it says it is Brookpark, $3.6 billion stadium development to be revealed.
Billion.
Yeah, billion. That's a lot of money.
It's cash, man.
Billion.
I heard another rumor that says at the end of after it's all said and done, it could possibly be about $5 billion. Because
Yeah.
you got so much other things that are
3.6
going
is
to
all
happen.
I've heard. Okay, so we're all on board with the stadium. They're going to build the dome, and I guess story over.
Boom. Done. See you guys next week. Thank you again for joining us.
Not just the stadium. They want to do a lot of beautiful updates around the stadium in Brookpark. It's privately funded. Half of it is going to be privately funded, which is interesting to hear, and the other half is going to be covered by bonds and paid with new stadium-related revenues and additional tax revenues by Brookpark.
So maybe only
so
Brookpark will have to pay the sin tax.
I was hearing it's something like this, right? There's about $2.4 billion in actual stadium costs for the Dome in Brookpark. The Haslams are trying to split that, so 1.2 and 1.2 billion, and then the Haslams through private investment are going to do the other 1.4 billion needed to build the area and renovate the whole area around the stadium, including like all of the shopping, hotels, etc.
Restaurants. Yep. They want to do a little Jerry's World in Brookpark. Yeah. Basically what we said like 3 months ago. They want Berea, they want Brookpark. That's why they went out of downtown, because they have control of whatever happens in Brookpark and Berea. They can't really have control of downtown.
Space. Yeah. There's so much more space. But that's about right as far as breaking it down. So I know what was the proposal that the Browns recently released, which I thought would be the big story for us, but it looks like it's going to very quickly get denied by the Haslams.
Yeah.
That was like for $400 million or
461 million.
Okay.
And terms include $367 million for other revenues. Cintas revenues will go to them. They'll turn over the Willard Garage, which I didn't know that was even down there. The Muni lot will go over to the Browns. And other game day. Also, like they would generate the parking pay will go to the Browns to help with repairs and improvements. And under the current lease, the city covers about $1.3 million in annual property taxes and insurance, while the Browns only pay $250,000 in rent.
Yep. They want the Browns to take that over eventually, right?
Yeah.
I like how you say that. Only $250,000 in rent. No big deal.
I mean, out of millions, I guess. It's not that much, but it is a lot. It literally reminds me of our constant talk about football contracts, where they're like, "Oh my gosh, don't you see that Jerry Jeudy's only making $17 million a year?" And I'm like, I hope I make $17 million
the rest of my life.
A couple lifetimes.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? That's so much money.
So basically, that agreement's exactly what the Guardians and the Cavs have. So well, basically, they just said, "Hey, this is what the Guardians and the Cavs have. This is what we're going to give you guys." So basically, I don't think Haslam's going to go with it anyways. But
I did not know that.
I just think the new plan they sent out was like, "Oh, this was a great idea in 1999 when you initially built the stadium to put all this stuff around it and turn it into like a little adventure spot." Now, 25 years later, like adding little things out to it, spending. And I also heard this, by the way. This was a report that I heard on from Daryl Ryder, who was talking to some people in like this space for building stadiums. The renovations that the Browns have planned, the expected life expectancy for this type of renovation is about 15 years, maybe a little bit more. So the Browns would be paying this $1 billion stadium renovation and getting to where in 15 years, I know that's a long time from now, they're still going to be looking for, now we're going to have to build a new stadium. So I guess depending on the lifespan of a Dome stadium, whether it's like, if it can be 25 or more years, that again becomes a much more appealing avenue for the Haslams.
I also read that the people that they Haslams are in line with to design the stadium in Brookpark are the same people that designed Minnesota Stadium, which is a beautiful stadium, by the way.
What's up, Jeff? Thank you for joining us. And elsewhere on YouTube, thank you for joining us as well. James says, so what happens in the Muni lot? I think there is $1.2 million just going into the parking lot. That's supposed to be 20,000 spots just around the stadium. So that will be the new Muni lot. Or you could party at the Transit, the Rapid.
And by the way,
whatever
if
you want.
they don't name that like new Muni or something like that, giant miss by the Browns
yeah.
organization. If they
Yeah.
do move the stadium and they don't name whatever parking lots, one side of it the Pit and the other side of it like New Muni,
Dude.
I feel like you missed
You missed
an
it.
opportunity to like really connect with Browns fans who are always want to say like we're going to tailgate at the Muni lot.
The Pit is probably the best. Angel, have you ever been out of the Pit?
Awesome.
Full disclosure, I've never been to the Pit. I've been to the Muni lot a couple times, but never to the Pit.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
I prefer the Pit. I'm a Pit guy.
See, here's
Yeah.
the thing. I've never been a Browns fan that likes to go downtown. I don't like the stadium. I never did. I never like going in. I never like going out because it's just so many people going. It's like a herd of cattle going
I don't
in
care.
and
I
out.
love it. I'm so
And
drunk.
then
I don't even
traffic,
care.
and then traffic going out is a headache. It's like
I like the experience, but as I get older, I'm like, how much do I want to deal with?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think
that's
as
the
I was
thing.
in town, there was one game going on while I was in town for Christmas, and I was like, I can for sure make this game. I have nothing happening this Thursday night, and I was like, it's rainy and it's kind of crappy. And then we're gonna end up getting so drunk, and then I've got to catch a plane tomorrow, and I don't want to like be super like feeling terrible for the so like that's the old man realm that I'm in now, where I'm like, do I want to do all that? So I don't know, but I do agree it is a challenge to get in and get to your seat when you finally. I mean, half it was my fault. For years, we've been going down there to tailgate at either lot, and it's like, oh, it's 12:30. We better get going after this one last beer.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, the game starts in 10 minutes. Run.
So think about this next game for me,
We
the
deserve
Cowboys game. That doesn't start till 4:15. I'm going to get down there about noon, and I'm going to be inebriated before we get into the game, and it's going to be horrible.
The bad news is somebody's going to have to get down there at 6 a.m. so you have a spot to park.
My buddy
Exactly.
does that. He parties over. So I got two friends that go down there normally. One is at like West 14th in St. Clair, or East 14th in St. Clair. The other one is in the Muni lot. So it all depends on how I'm feeling that day, I guess. Who I want to hang out with more. I want to weigh my options that day. One's got cornhole and Crown Royal. The other one's got Busch Light and cornhole. No, I'm kidding.
So
No, I was gonna say, that's a
the only
tough
one,
choice.
the only other thing I wanted to say about this actual stadium plan was, do you guys think the Haslam's were asked directly, why don't you just pay for this if you want it in Brookpark or wherever? Just pay for it yourself, and you can do basically whatever you want. And they said, a project like this is better when it's a shared, public, privately owned thing.
Yes.
All the things you would say to try to say, like, I don't want to pay for billions of dollars of property and architecture in Cleveland or anywhere else for that matter. But do you guys think, with the way the city gave such a low ball offer basically to what the Haslams are looking for, they wanted $600 million for the renovation downtown, or like $1 billion for the renovation or for the rebuild in Brookpark, and the city only came up with 400 and something million. Do you think this is setting the stage for trying to get the Haslams to pay for a little more of their new project?
Yeah.
Without so much as saying like, we don't want to do it, but like, we gave this great offer for downtown, and like, if you're gonna go to Brookpark, we can give that much more.
We're sorry. Here's what we can offer. Yeah. I think we said it a couple weeks ago. I don't think Bibb really. Not that he doesn't want them down. I think he does, but if he loses them, I don't think he really is like. Oh, I think they'll just develop that place.
I mean, you don't want to be the mayor. So Bibb is the mayor of Cleveland, and as much as I always jump out and say like, yeah, Brookpark is Cleveland. Like, everywhere is Cleveland.
It's 1,000 feet away. Not even.
Yeah, but
10 minutes.
But the one difference is a lot of these other like burbs have their own mayor, and they have their own government, and like, you don't really want to be the mayor of Cleveland, who did lose the Browns to another. Like, locally, that's the one way where it's different. Is, I don't know, like, all of a sudden you don't want to be the mayor who like lost income and not so much the Browns, but like the income and some kind of like value stream to downtown. Like that's not great. So I'm sure he's way more on the side of like, let's rebuild the stadium. While I'm mayor, we'll always have the Browns down here. But I think we've talked about this before. The one spin he can do is if they do decide they're going to leave. Now it's like that's going to happen in 2029. You've got half a decade to decide like what can I do to make my mark as mayor by like planning this huge use of this land. And I think that's where his focus will have to quickly shift.
He doesn't have a choice. And obviously, I think the reason they're going to hold off on announcing the big Brookpark deal is because they're waiting for Cleveland to counter offer on what they had maybe already offered. Hey, we'll give you this instead. How does that sound appealing? And the Haslam's going to be like, no, dude, I'm building my dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
I got 20 years left.
They want a dome or bust. I mean, they don't want a nice porch in front of their house. They want a dome. They want shops. They want food.
I posted it on I believe Twitter and Instagram, just putting it as simply as like they asked Andrew Berry in his press conference, what do you prefer? And he said, a dome. I think it's better for the players. I think it's better for the team.
Yep.
I think it's better for the whole like stadium environment and experience. And I just don't believe, as close as Andrew Berry is to the owners, he says that unless the owners are like, you can say you want, we're pushing for this dome. And so I think when you openly come out and say that, like Andrew Berry is too savvy and too zipped with like company secrets to say something like that unless the message inside the building is, yeah, say this, we want this out there. And then D mentioned like, oh, it sounds like from our polling, more fans want the stadium, and like they're getting it out there and getting people ready for the fact that like this is what they're going to try to do. And we should know soon, right? They're supposed to make the decision on this money from Cleveland in like by the 10th or something, or
that's 10 my birthday.
Days. So we'll know real soon whether they're not going to take this deal, and if they're not, they're going to Brookpark, y'all. That's what it is.
Kind of simple, yeah. So my birthday is this Saturday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Oh, that was premature. Just like the earlier in the show when Chad started off the show, and I'm not gonna go that far. Chad, did you want to do the clinic this weekend? Deshaun Watson?
We could. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Nice.
Shoot for like Sunday.
Clinic Sunday. Stay tuned, man. That's a good show.
It's going to be the last one we had planned. We did all the tackle injuries, the running back injury. Deshaun is the last one to go, and he's still not 100%. So it's a good time probably to let people know what to expect this season.
You take that back. He is 100%.
Don't ever say that about Chubb.
His throws look pretty good when he does let it go, but
we'll see. It's all
feel good about it.
That was another thing. Jameis Winston is starting the game on my birthday, and I'm not fearful about that at all. I'm cool with that. It's a preseason game, so it doesn't matter. Also, I seen a video of Deshaun Watson scrambling at a camp this week, and I shouldn't have to worry about my quarterback scrambling right up the middle. I'm like, oh no, don't do that. So
welcome to being what the Baltimore fans have been dealing with for like the last 5 or 6 years already.
I mean, I get it, but you just came off a big injury, man. It is time to stay in that pocket like Joe Flacco did. You got an offensive line that could hold it down for you for the most part.
He's got the bright red jersey on, right? They're not going to hit him.
Oh no, they're not hitting him, but I just don't want him to fall.
They might.
Yeah.
That's a good way to not be on the team soon.
Yeah, very good way. You don't hit that red shirt. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to hit up before we leave?
Nah, I'm bored of this.
Yeah, we're done.
Bored of this. Bored of this.
We're done.
I'm bored of the Browns.
No, continue to support our socials. We've been moving a lot lately, so we appreciate the follows, the likes, and the comments.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're killing it lately. We're killing it.
YouTube. Please go to YouTube.
Go until I check the Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, we're doing really good on Twitter. Twitter is actually doing really well.
I feel like every time I post something, we get a couple likes. I'm always so excited to see that.
I've been posting
but I wanted to check just to make sure there wasn't breaking news.
Oh yeah, it's a good idea. because I didn't
It's
check
not.
anything during the whole show. Nothing.
Because that would be good. Because we'll spend
I've been
another
checking.
hour
I've been-
talking about
I've been
it.
checking. I've been checking the whole time.
And here's
Nothing.
Nick Carnes live, and it says the barking Browns, and I thought it said breaking news for a second because it's all small. I was like, oh, it's not.
Carnes is too busy fighting with Steelers fans at WrestleMania to have much to say on here.
But yeah,
Nothing.
we will be back next week. Everybody, make
Next
sure you
week.
like, subscribe, follow us. Check out all of our socials. We're on everything.
Literally everything.
Literally everything. I add something new like
Too many
every
things.
week.
Too many things.
We're on Podbean now. Anybody know what Podbean is?
It's a podcast.
It's
Platform?
supposed to be like a number one streaming source. So I will upload the show tonight or tomorrow, and you guys can listen to it on your way to work
All right.
again. Because we're awesome like that. Oh, the Browns' new training facility. Awesome. Cool. Thumbs up. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna get better.
Yeah. So yeah. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We will see you guys next week.
Breaking news. Breaking news. The potential landing spot for Brandon Aiyuk has now been narrowed down to only 32 teams per source. Aiyuk is adamant that he will only play for an AFC or NFC team.
Stop it. Oh,
All right, let's
That's
get out of
crazy.